So good morning, everyone. Today is our last day for this 4 weeks training on sustainable biodiversity management. And I'm sure that over the weeks, you've been able to see some of the practices that we do that mitigates affects biodiversity on our different establishments. And we've been able to learn how we can reduce the impact of the activities that we do that affects biodiversity negatively, and we've been able to learn how we can increase biodiversity on our different farm establishment, because that is the most important message that we have to pass during this entire week, that we see, depending on our horticulture farm, how we can increase biodiversity no matter the situation, or no matter the kind of practice that we are doing. So today we have quite a lot of information to pass out. So there will be, it will not flow in the normal way that we've been doing in the last 3 weeks. So today we have quickly welcome everybody, and then we run through the agenda that I am doing. And then we're going to have a recap, which will be done by the participants that are online. Then we're going to have the live session. And then after the live session, we're going to have a break for 5 minutes to stretch our legs. The live session will be for 30 minutes today. And after that, we're going to go into a breakout session for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, we're going to use 10 minutes to discuss what the results is from the live session. Somebody who presents. And after that, if there's any question, we'll take. If there's no further question, we'll go into to navigate through module 4, and most especially through the training and conclusion tile, which is very, very important for the conclusion of this 4 weeks training. There are very important information that participants have to fill out in that training session. Training tiles, sorry. And then we close the day, and hopefully when everybody is online today, at the time they're online, we'll all take a snapshot of our different, of this training course, and then we can all see all the faces behind this training that we've been having for the past 4 weeks. So on this note, for us to be fast today, there won't be any ice breaks, so that we can move a little bit faster. So over to you, Ayo.
So thank you, allowing me. Once again,
okay.
Yeah, thank you, allowing me. Let me appreciate everyone for coming today again. And I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. Okay, I've been able to share my screen. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So last week, we were able to go through a few things, which I was able to be snappy about. Today, we're going to do a quick recap. And since you are the only one online, I mean, Daniel now, right? Am I correct? Let me check. Okay, Daniel, you are the only one online. Can you hear me, Daniel? Is
yes,
Daniel still?
I can hear you.
All right,
yes,
good.
I can hear you.
Can you briefly give us a recap of what we had on Monday, as much as you can remember, while we wait for the rest to join on board? Thank you.
Yeah, on Monday we went through cultivation practices that will promote biodiversity.
That's very correct.
Yeah, so some of the improvements that we'll do in the operations, like planting of the grass strips, the flower edges, so that at least they help in the improvement of the biodiversity within the farming system.
Okay. So may I know what you were able to pick up and what you intend to implement in subsequent time you are on your farm?
Yeah, one of the things that I would say, especially for the grass strips and the hedges, is possible the current of system of operation we are doing.
Okay.
That can be improved on so that at least we get the benefits. The bit that we are not able is to do the mixing of having livestock within the system, because the customer requirement does not support
Okay.
that. We should not be having livestock in the farming system. So that, I think we can get the advantage of maybe doing a proper decomposting of material collected from a reasonable source. Then we can either justify and then input that into our system.
That's very great. That's
Yeah.
very great. Okay. So last we went through layout that promote biodiversity, and we're able to identify the goals of making layouts. Then we also talked about the examples of biodiversity-friendly agricultural development and practices. And I noted that there are 4 major things that must be spelled out when you are doing your layout and cultivations that will promote biodiversity in our various farms. Okay. We also discuss the biodiversity-friendly agricultural development and practices, and we're also able to spell out what it will involve when we are on domesticated biodiversity and those things that it will take when it is wide biodiversity. So, and we're able to summarize. We had a brief summary, and our summary was that a diversified agriculture which combines cultivation, which involves uses of legume, ensures permanent land cover, encourages grassland, and contributes to enhancement of biodiversity. All of this put together will enrich our farm, our horticultural farm. And we asked a question that does agriculture destroy natural habitats, which all of us went for a yes, which is actually correct. In attempt to expand our farm, we destroy the habitat of these natural origins. And in attempts to boost our production, we break down biodiversity. Okay, we went to the second topic, which has to do with how to improve domesticated biodiversity on our farms. And we discussed in extension the combination of livestock farming with production system. And we were able to arrive at the benefits and disadvantages of the use of agro-pastoral system. No, we consider that the benefits are more than the disadvantages. I mean, what you have to take as your advantages are quite beneficial to us, even though disadvantages are there. Disadvantages that require more labor, manpower, and the risk of, sanitary risk, and of course, a good recycling plan, which must be put in place, just like you have just explained, that those things have to be separated in such a way that, we have the very good and a hygienic environment for our crop to grow, and even for we ourselves that are working in the farm. So those things have to be put in place before we can stand a chance of enjoying what agro-pastoral system practices have to offer. Of course, we went ahead to discuss partial crop layout techniques. We discussed the advantages, which has a lot to do with the fight against plant disease, rotational use of soil elements, and prevents soil erosion, among many others. Of course, the disadvantages are also there, which we also explained. And I showed you all this particular picture, which I believe every one of us at our various farms can imbibe. It becomes very important for us to start this. If we have a ready-made trees in our farms, that may not be need to cut them down. So far, the tree is high up, it's not down, in such a way that it will not form a shade on our crops. As we all know that a shade on the crop will not allow the crop to photosynthesize. And we all know that as plants, all our plants need to photosynthesize. It's very important, otherwise they will not produce their food, which we will all need in the long run. So I showed you this picture that is what we can cultivate. It's a agricultural system, is a continuous system. And as such, if you plant a tree now, in 5-6 years, it grows up, it will still serve the function. But if you have already made trees in our bushes, we can cultivate around them, even to have a benefit of what spatial crop layout technique is about. We discussed the advantages 2 weeks ago. So we also talked about the temporal crop layout techniques. We discussed the advantages, and of course, for everything that has advantages, there must also be a disadvantage or many disadvantages to them. But we discovered that the advantage of temporal crop layout technique is quite much and worth going for, is regarding the disadvantages. And we came to a question that has to do with other ways by which agropastoral system improve biodiversity. 2-3 persons were able to answer, while some other, I believe they also knew, probably to skip their mind. We mentioned that it fights against pests and diseases on the farm. We also mentioned that apart from the use of compost material that we get from our animal husbandry, there is synergy among the crops. The crops and animal are synergy, and it's also save cost. It's save cost. So because the money for buying fertilizer will be reserved for something else, because you have a ready-made manure from your animals, from your animal husbandry. And one other important thing that we discussed, that we mentioned, is the fact that there is provision of food. Provision of food. We understand that animals are a major source of protein. And once you have them, you have provision of protein to your family, to the community, and for entrepreneurial purposes. So they are really serving a whole lot of function when it comes to agropastoral system. Then we summarize that domestic biodiversity contributes to simultaneous intensification of agricultural and livestock production, the valorization of animal excreta to increase soil fertility, and crop residue that can be used as food, just as the way I explained. Then we move to sequence 3, the topic 3 that we discussed on Monday, which has to do with how to promote wild biodiversity on our farm. And we spelled out what we need, our target points that we need to know. And I discussed with us that there are 2 main wild biodiversity that must be promoted, which are para-agricultural wild biodiversity and extra-agricultural wild biodiversity. And this is one of the pictures I show us, which has to do with natural and semi-natural edges. We discussed earlier on that with edges, we provide shelter and ladder for numerous animals and birds. We also understand that animals are serving purposes in their domain, and birds are also serving purposes. One of the things that birds does, the birds do for our farm, is that it can pollinate. Some of us don't know that birds pollinate. They carry it can promote seed spreads. They carry seeds from one place to the other. So, and before you know it, what you did not plant here in the a particular place, we grow in some other place, which may be beneficial. So we also talk about copses, where we have small wooded areas of surface area between 5x and 50x. And we mentioned that once it is not much, it will not constitute a forest. It is when these copses are much, that's when it becomes a forest, which we may not want to go with. So it's a natural place that you find in the bushes, and once you find it, you can make do with it. You don't have to destroy the natural environment. So we also talk about the wetlands, which is quite common to us, particularly when there are farming in the bushes where we have riverine areas. So of course, disadvantage is there that it could breed mosquitoes and other pests, but the advantages are much. They are quite much, and we discuss them as much as possible. Grass rich, just like Daniel mentioned, is also an advantage that favors wide biodiversity. And we also discuss extensively the effect of the use of pesticide. We understand that we have different kinds of pesticide, the broad spectrum herbicides, the selective herbicides, and we also have insecticides and fungicides. And I make us to realize that 85% of diseases of plants are from fungal origin. And that is why we have more fungicide being sold around nowadays. So, of course, for people in entomology, these are the ones that are dealing with the study of insects and their impact. They use insecticides. And of course, there are bioremediation processes going on. There are some that are in existence in such a way that you will not have to use these chemicals. We can just use the bio products that that can digest easily, and they will not have environmental impact, negative impacts on your crops. And we said that ideally, to prevent these products from impacting biodiversity, they should not be used at all. Of course, many of us are familiar with integrated pest management, IPM. That has to do with when it is stringent to use pesticide. That is when you use it. When it is strictly important. When it is not important, you may not use it. But once it is strictly important, you can use pesticide. But more often than not, we realize that we use pesticide when it is important and when it is not important, because it aids our work on the farm. But as fast as it could work, it's also damaging what biodiversity will offer us in the long run. Of course, we discussed the use of fertilizers, and fertilizer are majorly NPK. Could be 0, 15, 15, could be 15, 0, 15, could be 0, 0, 15, as the case may be, depending on what we need on our various farms. But we also discussed the use of some crops that you can plant that can provide this nitrogen source for our subsequent plants, rather than using fertilizer, because fertilizer has a whole lot it does, even on our farms and the farm environment and the water bodies, which we extensively discuss. And then we talk about perennial crops, which virtually all of you make an examples of, which we encourage that you all should continue to do it, and you can even do more, because they have a way of improving our biodiversity on the farm. And we summarize that efficient management of land resources, erosion control, organic fertilization, crop rotation, crop combination, etc., and water resources, which has to do with integrated management, eco-friendly phytosanitary treatment, is a precursor to preserving wild biodiversity. So these are the precautions to preserving wild biodiversity. Okay, Chinedu have just sent a message that Timothy will join soon. That's noted. So from there, we proceed to a question which we said which we asked, that what are the advantages and disadvantages of various developments in and around the farm? And Actually, all of us discussed the advantages and disadvantages of our practices on our farms. So we went to question and answer, which actually nobody asked question, which we believe that we all understood what we have discussed so far. So today we'll be broken into groups, and this will last for just 15 minutes thereabout. And the remaining 5 minutes, we're going to use it to run up. Okay, Chino also sent a message that Noble is on leave and he can't reach him at the moment. All right, that's noted. So we have group A, advantages of intercropping with examples. You just tell, you discuss and miss yourself the advantages of intercropping. And it's good when you just mention 1 or 2 crops that you intercrop and tell us the advantages. What time you are coming to present to us. Then disadvantage of intercropping with examples. Just as group A, you mentioned the crops you are talking about and you discuss the disadvantages. Then group C, we go with advantages of manual applications on the farm with examples. Okay, so the question again should be manual advantages of manual application of fertilizers on the farm with examples. Then disadvantages of manual application of fertilizers on the farm with examples. Okay, when you are applying your fertilizer manually, what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? That is what Group B, Group C and D respectively are going to go with. So I'm going to ask, allow me to break the people that are on board now into groups. Is allowing me there, please?
Yes, I
Allow. All right. Kindly break the people on board into groups. Let's have group A, group B, group C, and group D respectively. So may I know if I've stopped sharing? Am I still sharing? No. So I've stopped sharing now. Okay, please. We have Daniel, probably Daniel will go to group A, just as we've been following. So as people are coming in, we'll be sorting them, we'll be breaking them into rooms. So please do that for us. So while we wait for the break, go back. Okay, I want to welcome everyone back. I believe you can all hear me. Can you all hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, good. Thank you very much. So now that we are back from our breakout rooms, may I know who will go first to give us a brief presentation on what we have had so far? Is anyone going first? Okay, I think Chinedu was on board the other time, or Timothy.
Chinedu can go. Chinedu.
All right, Chinedu, please, you can give us a brief.
Morning. Okay, can you hear me? I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry, my network is a bit bad. So some of the I was in the group that was discussing on the disadvantages of intercropping. Some of the issues that were highlighted were issue of pest management. In a situation where you have different crops in the same location or in the same plot, it's difficult to control pests because a particular crop might introduce a particular pest into the plot, and this will go ahead to feed on the crops generally. So this will definitely affect your yield. Also, I gave an instance of we having a spinach and a pepper in the same greenhouse, and the spinach kind of introduced the trip into the greenhouse, so that really affected our yield.
Okay.
Another issue was the issue of fertilizer application. In a situation where you have different crops on the same plot, it's difficult to calculate or apply fertilizer because you might end up applying a particular fertilizer that maybe this crop wants this and the other crop does not want the fertilizer you're applying. So it might affect the crops as well. So
That's great.
issue of pest control. I think what's that thing? There's one other stuff. Pesticide application and all that. You might apply pesticides on.
Okay, we have lost Chinedu now. Okay, it's
Hello,
back.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You can. Okay, you are. Okay. Okay. While we wait for Chinedu, Daniel, can you please give us a brief discussion of what you have discovered so far about the exercise?
Thanks, I was in the group that was to.
Hello.
Okay, Chinedu, you are back. Can Daniel? Okay, it's not back. Daniel, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was in the group that was to discuss the advantages of intercropping.
Okay.
So one of the advantage I highlighted is the increase in profit in terms that in case the primary crop fails to perform, there's a supplement from production from the secondary crop.
Okay.
The second advantage will be prevention of soil erosion and crusting. So for example, when you plant beans in between maize, so the beans will act as a cover crop that will protect the soil from erosion and also crusting because the whole surface now will be covered and the moisture level will be maintained.
Okay.
Another additional benefit will be added nutrients for the main crop. For example, the legumes are known for nitrogen fixation. So this will be adding nutrient to the maize. Then the other third benefit will be more efficient use of natural resources. For example, the water, the solar energy, whatever is provided will be distributed to the secondary crop. So even the water that would have landed on the bare soil will also be used by the crop that is intercropped.
Okay.
Another benefit will be improved weed management because since the whole surface is covered, the weeds that could have germinated will be suppressed by the canopy. So it will help in weed management.
Okay.
Then the last one will be enhanced biodiversity and then ecological stability. The more the species that are grown, the better is for the environment because at least different habitats will have different preferences. So in case something will have not been having preference, for example, either the bananas will have preference for even the other things that are planted in between. The last one, there can be benefit of pest control. For example, if you plant coriander in between other crops, it will act as a repellent for some of the pests. I think those are the few that I managed to highlight.
All right, I think that's very fantastic, and it's good that we know what we are doing on our respective farms. Okay, is Chinedu coming back on board, please?
Yes, can you hear me?
All right, we can hear you. Please proceed.
Yeah, so I was mentioning that, okay, I stopped at the fertilizer application. So the next item that was highlighted was the issue of reduced yield. So in a situation where you have two different crops on the same block, there is this competition for nutrients. And this competition drastically affects the yield of the crops. So you might not be able to get exactly what you budgeted for each crop because of the unavailability of some nutrients in the soil.
Okay. Okay. That's very, very fantastic. Okay.
The last thing was I think we're not talking about the issue of proper planning, because in a situation where you don't properly plan or research about the crops you want to intercrop, you might end up making mistakes that will affect everything you've been doing from day one. So I
That's
think those are the things that was highlighted.
You are all
So,
correct, and we are happy to have this submission from you. So that is the essence of the training course that we are having. And we believe that all of this you've said will all be implemented in due time. So in summary, since we do not have group E and group F, let me quickly state that for group E, the advantage of manual application, that place is supposed to be manual application on the farm. We're talking about agro-pastoral system where you use animal droppings, you compost them, and you apply them on your farm. If they are not compost, these are what, if they are compost, these are what you are going to have. You are going to have increased soil carbon and reduced atmospheric carbon levels. You are going to have a reduced soil erosion and runoff, reduced nitrate leaching, and reduced energy demands for natural gas intensive nitrogen fertilizers. Those are the things you are going to have. And for disadvantages, that would manure normally spills and leaks, and manure spills and leaks can cause adverse environmental impacts, such as pollution of surface and groundwater, which we mentioned last week. And we also have an excess nutrients in the surface water, which can be harmful. Can be harmful to algae blooms, which deplete water oxygen and produce toxins. Of course, the nitrates in the underground can cause a condition in infants that limits oxygen supply of blood. All of this we discussed we discussed them extensively last week. And with this, we come to the end of the training course, and particularly this week course, which has to do with cultural practices that promote biodiversity on our various farms. I want to appreciate you for being attentive and your commitment towards this training course. Thank you. As I hand over to allow me.
Thank you very much, Ayo. And thank you to everyone that came online today. And we're going to go on a 5 minutes break. And then after the break, we'll navigate through our tile week 4. And then we'll now go through the training and conclusion tile. So please tell everybody to come online, because that is very, very important. Without that, you understanding that tile, you cannot view your certificate and you cannot download your certificate for this training. Thank you. So we'll take a 5 minutes break and then we'll come back. 5 minutes, please. Okay. So it is expected that we all finish up the tiles, our assignments, our test your knowledge, and then the mini quiz. Those are the ones that are critical for our certificates. Your assignments, your test your knowledge, and the mini quiz. So please, for those within week 3 and week 4, everybody have finished week 1 to 2. Some have even completed week 4 as at today. But those who have not finished, please can you today just finish up week 3 and week 4, because this training is closing today. So by tomorrow, you should download your certificates. So then I will move on to week 4 to remind us what we need to do. A lot of people have asked questions in week 4. about the assignment. The assignments, they are just very straightforward, very, very straightforward. But I don't know what is happening. It's not loading. So let me go to the training summary and conclusion tab. It is just the tab after the week 4 cultivation practice that promotes biodiversity. The next tab after it is training summary and conclusion. Every participant must go to that tab, and you can see my cursor on the training evaluation form. You have to click this training evaluation form. And when you click it, it will open up. The site is very slow now. But once you click it, it will open up. And then you answer all the questions that are in the evaluation form. If you do not answer this training evaluation form, you will not be able to get your certificate. If you can see my screen very well, we can all see that the certificate is restricted. Why COLACP has restricted it? It is those who finish the 3.
Okay, Madam Chido is around.
Madam Chido is around. So let me stop sharing screen. We'll come back to this. So can we all put on our camera, please? Can we all put on our camera? Madam Chido, can you please put on your camera? Chinedu, Mr. Daniel. It's just a few seconds. If you all do it, then we'll take the picture now. Madam Chido, we're waiting for you. Madam Chido, we're waiting for you. Can you put on your video? Put on your video. You are the one we're waiting for. Can you put on your video?
And Chinedu is not video. Chinedu's video is not on too.
Chinedu. Mr. Timothy, are you not close? Madam Chido, just put on your camera.
I'm far away from where Chinedu is.
Ah, okay. Madam Chido, just on your video. You don't need to talk. We just need to take the picture. If you are not going, if it's not possible for you, probably we'll just take it. Just the video, just on the video. It's just your face that we want to see. The video button is next to the mute. Aha, thank you. So we're just going to take this. One more. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chido. So we can remove our videos, yes. Okay, so like I've doing before, I'll continue to share my screen. Please, can we all see my screen on the sustainable management of biodiversity?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Like I said before, if you click on the training summary and conclusion tab, the site is very slow this morning. Okay, it's back again. So this time, this training where my cursor is training summary and conclusion, once you click on it, it brings you here. Then you click on the training evaluation form. Once you click on the training evaluation form, it takes you to the training and evaluation form, and then you can view the answer, the questionnaire. I cannot view the questionnaire. I cannot even see it at all because I'm a trainer. So please go on that training and evaluation form and fill it. Like I said before, if you do not fill this, you cannot have access to your certificates. You can see from here that COLA-ACP has restricted our certificates, everybody in the group. So if you do not fill this evaluation form and you have not done your assignment, test your knowledge, those are very key for every week. Most people are within week 3 and week 4 now. Some people have even finished everything. So once they fill this evaluation form, they will automatically be able to view their certificate, and then from there you can download it. So you can see that there's nothing there because nobody has, from my screen, nobody has filled the evaluation form. So there's no recipient here. So until we do that, then our certificates will automatically come to get your certificates on the tab. And then when you click on it, you first of all view it. After viewing it, then you can download it. You see an icon for downloading, and then you can download it, and then you can have your certificates. Please, let's do this between today and tomorrow. It's very important so that tomorrow, which is the final day for this course, and the course will then go off, we have done all that we need to do, and then we can print our certificate or download our certificate wherever we are. At this point, do we have any question? And then we're going to go through another exercise. But before we go through that, do we have any question? Let me stop sharing my screen. Do we have any question? No. Okay. So permit me again, I want to share another document with us, which is very important for today. So this is our training. We call it in COLA-ACP our expectation synthesis. When we came in to start the course, we all remember that when we filled the training expectations, we wrote there some of the expectation things that we are expecting to understand, excuse me, when we are on this training. So we are going to go through those expectations and see if those expectations have been met. So this training is all about sustainable biodiversity management. Can we all see my screen, please?
Yes.
And we can see the sustainable biodiversity management training documents. Ayo, can you see this? Thank you, Mr. Timothy.
Yes, it is vivid. I can see it.
So in module 1 of this course, we went through the definition and importance of biodiversity. And the second sequence is the interest of biodiversity. In module 2, we went through understanding and assessing biodiversity, and we had 5 sequences: impact of agriculture on biodiversity, biodiversity at farm level, extent and precision level of the assessment of biodiversity, indicators of biodiversity, biodiversity assessment methods. In module 3, we had identified methods and techniques to restore biodiversity. And then under that, we had 2 sequences. We treated threats to biodiversity and regulation for its conservation. And then we looked at impact of production systems and agricultural practices on biodiversity. The last module, which we finished today, module 4, is cultivation practices that promote biodiversity. And under it, we looked at layouts and cultivation practices which promote biodiversity, how to ensure or improve domesticated biodiversity on farms, layouts and practices which more specifically promote wild para-agricultural biodiversity. We looked at layouts and practices which more specifically promote wild para-agricultural soil biodiversity. And then we look at how to preserve biodiversity of areas near the farm. And then we looked at other land use for a range of purposes which also have positive impact on biodiversity. With all this, with the 4 modules and with all the sequences, then we'll want to see if peradventure we have been able to meet your expectations that you actually put in at the beginning of the training. So please, at this point, you have to unmute your mic and then you speak to us for us to hear that whether met or met, that is what your answer will be. So number 1, on this number 1 expectation, we've been able to categorize all the expectations together. 1 is to learn more about what is biodiversity, its benefits and its importance. Was this expectation met or unmet? Did we meet this expectation or we did not meet this expectation? We have to unmute ourselves, please, or we type in the chat box.
The first expectation was met.
Thank you. So you can see that as you're saying it, I'm also filling this form because immediately we finish, I have to send it to Kole CP straight away. So that is why we need you to speak, because they're also going to listen to this recording to match what I typed there. So it's not going to be my word. So the second one is to learn biodiversity features and how to practice it better. Did we meet this expectation or we did not? Can we unmute ourselves and speak, please? Or we type in the group chats. Did we meet the expectation to learn biodiversity features and how to practice it better?
That was meant to. It was meant.
Okay. The next one, to understand interactions between different types of biodiversity. Was this expectation met or met?
It was met.
Thank you. The next one is to learn how to assess biodiversity. Was this expectation met or met?
It was met.
Thank you. To fully equipped with knowledge in careful managing biodiversity. Was this expectation met or met?
It was meant to. Met.
to learn how well to improve biodiversity and to know how best to incorporate it with the whole farming process. Was this expectation met or met? To learn how well to improve biodiversity and to know how best to incorporate it with the whole farming process. Was this expectation met or met? Please be sincere.
Expectation met.
Be sincere about it.
This was even the best part. I really enjoy most.
Okay.
It was met.
Thank you. To learn how to synergize biodiversity and crop production. Was this expectation met or unmet? This person was actually talking about how to the synergy in biodiversity and crop production, how to mix the two together with no adverse effect. What this expectation met or met?
Expectation met.
Mr. Chinedu, I have not heard your voice. To learn activities that sustain biodiversity.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. To learn activities that sustain biodiversity. Was this expectation met or met? Did we meet this expectation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Learn more skills in the areas of biodiversity. Did we meet this expectation or not?
Yes, yes. I met this.
To implement the various conditions to sustain biodiversity. Did we meet this expectation or not? To implement the various conditions to sustain biodiversity, was this expectation met or not?
It was 100% met.
Thank you. To learn how to increase yield through biodiversity, was this expectation met or not? Don't be shy. You can say unmet. It's not a sin. Please don't say because we are here. Because Kolesifi can ask you without us at any time. Since you have said met. Okay. So to understand biodiversity and the activities which affect biodiversity negatively and positively. Was this expectation met or met?
It was met.
To understand the impact of our operations to biodiversity, was this expectation met? How the different operations that we are carrying on in our different horticultural farm now, how it impacts biodiversity, was this expectation met?
Yes, it was met.
Okay. To learn how to mitigate the effect of our operations to biodiversity, was this expectation met? To
Yes,
learn,
it was met.
okay, thank you. To consult, Mr. Daniel, I'm not hearing your voice. Chinedu is out again. So,
I'm here, Benedict.
okay, I need to hear your voice. To consult effectively to various farm operations, enabling effective conservation of the environment and contributing to effective biodiversity program. Was this expectation met? To consult effectively.
Expectation met.
Okay. To teach local farmers, there's someone that wants to teach local farmers among us, to teach local farmers on the importance of biodiversity sustenance. Was this expectation met?
Met.
Thank you. To have more experience in the area of biodiversity. Was this expectation met? Or met?
Chido wako, Timothy yako.
To have more experience in the area of biodiversity. Was this expectation met?
Yeah, that was met.
Thank you. So, Madam Chido, welcome back. What we are doing is the expectation that we wrote when we did introduction, when we in the introduction tile, and then we fill the assessment form to understand our level of understanding about biodiversity and what we want. The expectation that we wrote in that tile, we have put everything together for everybody, and we're not asking if those expectations were met or they were not met. So please, as much as possible, be sincere about it, because ACP can call anybody from this training to confirm some of these things with us. Okay. Number 8, to interpret effectively various agro-related standards in matters of biodiversity, like global good agricultural practices. Was this expectation met?
Please, may you repeat it again?
So
I've got very poor network.
To interpret effectively various agro-related standards in matters of biodiversity, like global good agricultural practices.
Okay, it was met.
To ensure continuous improvement in the area of biodiversity. Was this expectation met?
It was met.
Thank you. To have gained an appreciation on how other guys in various countries are also managing biodiversity. Was this expectation met?
Yes, it was met.
To network with different people from different parts of the world. Was this expectation met?
Yes, we now know what is happening in other countries, and now we have also connections from other countries, including the trainers.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. So I'll stop sharing my screen for this exercise, and then I go to the next exercise that we need to know before we go. Oops. Okay. So permits me again to share my screen. Okay. So going back to the training summary and conclusion tab, when you open it, there is a very important message ACP wants us to read, and if we need it. If you need personalized coaching for your organization, you know, we belong to different horticultural farms. If you need personal, after going through this course, and then you now feel that you need an expert to come to your farm and then help you go through what you have learned and then be able to actually put them into practice. Be able to, probably you want to design, you want to see where do you want to put trees, the grass. You need an expert from CP. This service is available with CP. And I will read the message to us directly. That you have successfully completed your training, you want to go further, you have a business project and need expert support. CP offer you individual coaching within your company. It has to be your company. A CP expert will come to your company to support you in the implementation of your project for a few days. If you are interested in this coaching, we invite you to complete the expression of interest form within a maximum of 15 days after the end of your training. So between today, tomorrow, and the next 15 days, that's the 16th of September. By the 16th of September, those who are interested in this personalized coaching for their establishment, for their organization, must have clicked on this Google form. There's a form there. You click on it, you fill it, and it goes straight to CP. Then CP will send an expert to your establishment for a few days to come and help you based on what you put in the form. Then, what are the terms and conditions of participation? To have followed the training course on sustainable biodiversity management with ACGT, meaning that you have done the course, you have finished it, you did all your assignments, your tests, you downloaded you filled the evaluation form, and you have your certificate. And then that you have a project defined in relation to the theme of the training course. So you have a project that has relationship with biodiversity, sustainable biodiversity management, not integrated pest management. It has to be related to this course. And then the beneficiary company must pay for the transport and launches of the experts mobilized for the good progress of the mission. So the responsibility of the experts will be that you pay for the transport and the launch for that expert. CP will take care of the rest. But your responsibility is that you give transportation and launch to the experts. And I believe that because COVID is still on, the experts will be from your country. So it won't be from outside the country. So we don't need to be afraid of flight tickets. So COVID is still on. So there's limits travel under CP. So we have experts in different countries that can actually help us on this. So if you feel that your company needs the form, I hope it's going to download for us to see. It's a quick form that we can fill. So you see, once you click next, it comes with your name, the name of your organization, full name of the representative of the organization, position, training you have followed, because we have under sustainable management, we have different trainings on soil, on water, on waste, on production, on biodiversity, on energy and hair. So you mentioned the one that you have done. This is on biodiversity, and the country where your organization, your email, telephone number, sector that is concerned, name of the participants registered for the CP. So it depends on who is filling it. So if you're the owner of the company is filling it, it will put the name of those who attended this training, and then describe in few lines your projects within your company, what you want to put in place. Then you go to the next page, because I have not put the name of my organization to not allow me to go to and the next page. But you go to the next page and you go through all the pages to the last page, and then you can click on submit. And then once you submit, it goes straight to Kule ACP, and then you can have the support for this. But like they said in the terms and condition, that we have to provide lunch and transport. Please remember to communicate that to whoever you want to pass the information to, or they can also log in to this website and then see the terms and condition for this. With this, we have come to the end of this training, and we want to say a big thank you to everyone that came online. Permit me to stop sharing my screen. We want to say a big thank you from my colleague Ayo Kumbo and myself, Olawumi. We want to say a big thank you for joining this training, for going through all the rigors of having to do your assignments as busy as you are, your tests. We know that you gain one thing or the other from this training, and that will help in the next phase of your project or your work in your establishment. And on this note, please feel free at any time to ask questions. You can chat with us one-on-one. You can ask us questions. And then from this, you can also sign in for other courses on Kule ACP. You can encourage other partners, other organizations that you know or that you work with to also take advantage of this courses or different courses that are available on Kule ACP. Thank you very much once again, and we wish you all the best in your different endeavor. And until we meet in peace anytime soon, as COVID helps us to move around much better. Ayo, do you have any other thing to say before we call it a day?
No, for now.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, and hope to see you all. When I come to Nigeria, I hope to come to Abuja to see you guys. When I come to Kenya, to Zimbabwe, I love traveling around. It's COVID that has stopped me, but thank you. Let's keep interacting. If you have any problem at any time, take this snapshot, send it to us, and then we will be there to answer your questions. Don't forget to finish all your assignments so that you can do the training evaluation form. That is very important that you do that between today and tomorrow for you to be able to download your certificate by tomorrow. If you do it today and you have finished all what you need to do, then you can even download your certificates today. Because once you finish the evaluation form, your name will go to the certificates group, and then you can view and download your certificate. Thank you so much, and then bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye.